I guess I should go ahead and... fuck, I won't even bother signing in. Hey everyone, how you all doing today? So, let's get right into it. Before we begin this, I guess, stroll down memory lane, there was this creator of this documentary, and I actually knew of him. He was on YouTube. His name was Keith Thompson, also went by the name of Keith Truth here on YouTube. There's like other people going by his moniker now that are not him. But he was a conspiracy theorist, a particularly wacky conspiracy theorist who spent his time, by the way, attacking an organization I was a part of for a while called the Zeitgeist Movement. Now, this kind of does flow into a little bit of that, but it comes in much later, and I don't think we'll be getting to that point until I decide to go ahead and call it off. But we will be going ahead and showing you the mind of a conspiracy theorist, and maybe show you how you can go ahead and look up these sources and debunk them if you would. Because I think that's very important to know, especially in this day and age. Because this is, by the way, pretty interesting propaganda. Especially since you take into account the fact that Keith Thompson himself was getting his theology and his ideas of what the Bible said and how the world should be and whatnot from a theologian who worked with the Koch brothers and was their own personal theologian. So he might have been a Koch psyop, a Koch brothers psyop. So, and given the day and age that we live in right now, I think it's important to go back and look at some of the old propaganda that they used to pump out. And this was in 20... Yeah, it came out in May 4, 2011, although this is a re-upload. The re-upload, I think, came about like 3-4 months earlier. But yeah, hasn't gotten that many views, but when it was, of course, it was a pretty big, weird thorn in our side. We had a lot of conspiracy theorists coming up to the Zeitgeist movement. So, which I will fill you in if you want to go ahead and know about it. But I'll only do that, of course, if there is any significant demand for it. Anyways, without further ado, let's begin. Starting with the spooky music.
The founding of the New Age movement can be traced back to the 19th century in Theosophy. This is the group that largely popularized this belief that we are heading out of the age of Pisces and into the astrological age of Aquarius, which to them will be an age of unity of humanity, an age of enlightenment, a spiritual age of consciousness, so to speak.
Yeah, they're kooky, weird, esoteric society, if you would. And it's weird. It's very strange that he's just like saying, wrapping it up in this spooky music, showing the Theosophical Society building outside, which, by the way, it's funny. It's like he doesn't really tell us where this is at. But I'm willing to bet that if I actually looked into it, and the funny thing is that one of the things that he's actually said on this not in this documentary, but as a part of like the people who funded this and the grouping that he necessarily got the funds for to make this for, it was decided that quite literally by him and him alone, despite the actual evidence to the contrary, that the Theosophical Society influenced and helped to drive the Nazis during World War II. Even though the Theosophical Society in Germany at the time destroyed their records to protect their members because they were going ahead and taking up members of the Theosophical Society and putting them in camps. Yeah. So I want to let you know, again, this is a Koch brother propagandist, I consider him to be now. So it's pretty obvious where it is that he's coming from in this regard.
It's very clear, yes, there's going to be a one world, political, economic, religion, and this is what all the globalists, the elite, the high-level occultists, the high-level New World Order people, this is what they're wanting. This is what the Bible pretty much clearly predicts as well. And this is obviously what we're moving to.
Okay, So this is like Christian conspiracy theorist shit. And it's funny because this is all really a confession by them, because if you know now, there is a group of dominionists who want to infiltrate government, who want to turn governments all over the world, who want to make it so that way everything is ran by a Christian theocratic society that's not only globalized but also in some of the most powerful countries in the world, the United States, the UK, Germany, um, China, all kinds of places. And they want dominance in the Middle East. They want all this dominance over everything in society. My life, your life, the private lives of others, our finances, everything being ran according to their narrow view of the Bible. That's what these people want. And he's saying, oh no, that's what the New Agers want. The New Agers don't want any of that. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you even met a New Ager, New Agers are fucking weird and they're very atomized. They don't really, they try to say, oh, let's go along to get along. But none of them really ever work together on that regard. You know? There are some people like the Theosophical Society, but they're fringe. They don't really get listened to. I mean, right-wing politics, interestingly enough, at the time, wasn't really that much on the rise during the date when which this was made. But it's like, now we're seeing it. I wonder, was that them trying to say that that's what we're going to do? We're going to cause all this chaos and frustration with everyone here? Is that why right-wing theocratic fascism is on the rise? I gotta wonder.
The Freemason and One World Government Advocate.
This is obviously what we're moving to.
The Freemason and One World Government Advocate Zbigniew Brzezinski said the following in his work Between Two Ages, quote, "The technotronic era involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite, unrestrained by traditional values. Soon it will be possible to assert almost continuous surveillance over every citizen and maintain up-to-date complete files containing even the most personal information about the citizen."
Okay. Since he gives us a quote, and he immediately okay, so you don't really have time to even read it. So let's just go ahead and pause it.
The citizen.
Let's look up this quote here, shall we? Let's just look up partiality of the quote for a second. God damn it, I gotta go ahead and do something about that real quick. Hold on. Nope. Keyboard sounds, browser sounds. Okay, let's move that then. Alright, let's go ahead and look this up here, shall we? Alright, there's the name. It wouldn't surprise me, given who this guy is, and who this guy is, by the way, is that he is basically like one of the various millionaires that exist. Study of the role of the USA in the age of technological change and the sociological aspects and political aspects of cultural change. Assesses ideological trends in the USSR and the relevance. So it doesn't seem to be anything that he's advocating for. He's just saying that this is going to be a trend. So, hold on. I'm going to pause the stream here for a second. Alright, apologies about that. So, we'll go ahead and look into him a little bit real quick, because it seems to be, by the way, and this is a bit of a problem with, like, conspiracy theorists, is that they have a tendency to, let's see, is this on the Internet Archive? Oh, it is, huh? Yeah, so conspiracy theorists, the things that they tend to do is that they tend to take a statement by someone who's just observing something that is happening in the world. Sorry, just double checking to make sure that, I'm not checking my chat, I'm checking to make sure I'm actually streaming here. There have been times in which I forgot to push the button and I said, damn, I wasted 2 hours there. Anyways, yeah, they have a tendency to take books that books and quotes that, for the most part, are just observing something that's happening in reality, and just, you know, not necessarily advocating for anything, just attempting to see how things are going, you know, and see where this trend is going to be, and if this trend is going to continue, here's where it should be, what it should be going towards. I mean, here's where it's most likely going to be going towards. But I'm trying to find a good description here, real quick, of this. I guess I'll go to Google Books here itself. So, anyways, assesses ideological trends in the USSR and the relevance of communist philosophy to contemporary problems. Stresses the need for educational and institutional reforms in the USA and urges that the U.S. should attempt to guide the process of social change and to enhance the affinities of the world's developed nations. Okay then, so this seems to just be a general trends reference. Like, I could probably read this book and find out that this quote is just a nothing burger. So, in fact, let's look up this quote a little bit, shall we? And I'm doing this primarily to show you how it is you can suss this shit out. How it is you can go ahead and make a determination as to whether this person is, whether or not someone is lying to you about like a source like this. So let's see here. Okay, what was that? That was like 4 pages. It's like, how many pages again? Alright. 311 pages for references. Okay then. Oh no. And I find it funny too. I think he also picked that book primarily because, you know, between two ages.
Will appear
So it's like,
in the most personal information about the citizen.
yeah, it says between two ages. Age of Aquarius. Oh, he means the age of Aquarius. That's what this means, huh? Let's just look at it more in its context, shall we? Let's see here. So the pages are 72 and 83. He seriously just, yeah, he took one quote out of one page, and he took another quote out of another page. I see, if you don't pay attention to details like this, then you'll probably get bamboozled by certain people. So let's look this shit up, shall we? Technocratic. Sorry. I'm used to saying the word technocratic, but this is technotronic. It's very weird. It's probably because it's from the 70s. But let's see here. Okay, 72. So let's go to 72 then. Okay, it mentions technotronics quite a few times. And 72. Here we go. Wait. Let's just look up the actual itself. Hold on. Look at the first beginning of the quote, because there's probably going to be a lead up to there, or there's probably going to be a theme of the chapter. And that's another thing too. When these people, when conspiracy theorists, whenever they make quotes like this, whenever they reference quotes, they never actually talk about the theme under which this quote was made. Like what is the intent of this? Like, no, they just read out the quote. They say, oh, doesn't it mean exactly what I said it means? Isn't it just like, isn't it a spooky thing to say from such a person? Like, wait. Okay, so it's not on that page. It's actually on... Okay, no, it's not even there. Is this even the right book? Hold on. America's Role in the Technotronic Era. That's the same book, right? Just
No
double making
information
sure.
about the citizen.
America's role in the technotronic age. Okay, he must be referencing something entirely different because, like, technotronic era seems to pop up only 2 times. He might have just made the fucking quote up. That, or I don't have the exact book, but I assume this is the same book, right? Like, 1970, yep, same thing. Like, I don't suppose he actually. Does he actually?
Personal omitted new information about the citizen.
You see, when you actually try to go through details like this and try to get the exact context into which people say shit like this, it becomes pretty obvious. Role appearance. Looks like he just made the quote up. Let's see, okay. Such a society would be dominated. Okay, then. Such a society should be easy to find because it's got, like. Here we go. Is this it? Okay, let's go and go through this a little bit here, shall we? This is the very first quote he opens up with, so this has got to be a banger of some kind. Let's see. Let's look at the end of liberal democracy. So why is this thing here? Let's see here. Technologically innovative and politically conservative phase that would lead to some form of technological managerialism is only one possibility. Other alternatives would be more extreme. American socio-economic tensions could be aggravated by the loss of momentum and economic growth, and therefore in the pace of scientific research and technological development, an important source of national pride. Racial strife, urban guerrilla activity, the alienation of the young, and in addition to a profound national split over America's global role, could result in a further breakdown in national consensus and lead up either the extreme left or the extreme right to capitalize on America's political disintegration by attempting to seize power. That seems to be what's going on right now. He made this observation back in the 1970s. So it's like, this seems to all be fairly standard, run-of-the-mill, just things on there. And it seems like he added this particular one, the technotronic era involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled society. Like, that seems to be what he added onto the quote. It says another threat, less overt but no less basic, confronts liberal democracy. More directly linked to the impact of technology, it involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled and directed society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite, unrestrained by traditional values. Elite whose claim to political power would rest on allegedly superior scientific know-how. Okay, so he's just making that quote up. He's like not even quoting what it says. He's making the quote up based on what he is interpreting. So this isn't exactly a direct quote. This guy's just making this shit up. Let's see here. Is there anything else? Nope. Nope. No. So already we have our first fucking quote that's just made the fuck up. Part of it's made up. So what does the actual quote say? That threat, less overt, but no less basic, confronts liberal democracy more directly linked to the impact of technology. It involves the gradual appearance of more controlled directed society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite whose claim to political power would rest on allegedly superior scientific know-how, unhindered by the restraints of traditional liberal values. This elite would not hesitate to achieve its political ends by using the latest modern techniques for influencing public behavior and keeping society under close surveillance and control. Under such circumstances, the scientific and technological momentum of the country would not be reversed, but would actually feed on the situation it exploits. Okay. Huh. So it's like he's literally detailing the problems with this particular issue here. He's not even advocating for it. So right off the bat, like Zbigniew Brzezinski is much of like a boogeyman as he's portrayed by conspiracy theorists. It's like, let's actually look this guy up. Zbigniew. Yeah, okay. Let's look this guy up a little bit, shall we? Polish-American diplomat, political scientist. He served as counselor to Lyndon B. Johnson. Jimmy Carter's national security advisor. To the Realist School of International Relations. Halford Mackinder. Nicholas Spikeman. Stand in the political, in the geopolitical traditions of. Okay, so understanding these guys is a key to understanding him then. Okay, we'll go ahead and look that up for a second. We're just going on a little bit of a research rabbit hole just with this guy, just to get an idea of why he's so scary. Like, he just seems like a giant fucking nerd for the most part. That's what he is. And I don't mean that derogatorily. He is basically a policy nerd and someone who goes by saying, okay, here's what's likely going to happen if this scenario keeps up. Here's what this is likely to put forth as far as, like, results if this scenario happens, rather, you know. It's policy advisory shit. The foreign policy events during his time in office included normalization of relations with the People's Republic of China. That must have, like, made people, like, pretty fucking angry. So, especially since let's see, is he still around? Is he still alive? Yeah. Oh, he's dead. He died, like, in 2017. So that's why they haven't been talking about him that much anymore. Against the Soviet-backed Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. Ooh, that's a pretty bad one because the Mujahideen are backing of it. It caused major problems there. Let's see here. Major foreign policy events during his time in office included normalization. Let's see here, okay. The signing of the Second Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty with the Soviet Union, the brokering of the Camp David Accords between Egypt and Israel, okay. The overthrow of the U.S.-friendly Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, and the start of the Iranian Revolution, the United States' encouragement of dissidents in Eastern Europe, and championing of human rights. Okay. Alright, in order to undermine the influence of the Soviet Union. Yeah, no, I was not a big fan of that. Supporting the Afghan Mujahideen, we already went through that. Ultimately, Soviet troops during the Soviet-Afghan War and the signing of the Torrijos-Carter treaties, relinquishing U.S. control of the Panama Canal. Okay, that was probably something that the fucking conservative jumpers probably would not like. Yeah. By jumpers, I mean the fact that they jumped down your throat, no matter the disagreements. Brzezinski's personal views have been described as progressive, international, political liberal, and strongly anti-communist. Ha! He was an advocate for anti-Soviet containment, for human rights organizations, and for cultivating a strong West. He has been praised for his ability to see the big picture. Critics described him as hawkish or a foreign policy hardliner in some issues. I would probably say that, yeah. Brzezinski served as the Robert E. Osgood Professor of American Foreign Policy. So yeah, this guy is just a giant policy advocate and policy wonk guy. He is involved in some oopsies, especially with the Mujahideen and, like, you know, the whole thing with regards to acting so strongly anti-communist or whatever, that he was, like, you know, interested in, like, going up against human rights organizations and like the effort to cultivate a strong West, which obviously is backfiring on us quite a bit with the rise of far right fascists and whatnot. But the funny thing is that this guy who made this documentary is actually trying to paint him as like, oh no, he's the evil fascist or whatever. No, he set up the fascists through which like you're creating propaganda for. Sorry, Keith, I see through your bullshit. And yeah, so this is not a real quote. And since the first one is not a real quote, we can go ahead and ignore everything that the second quote says. Because why do I need to waste my time? In fact, let's just do it, just for the fuck of it. Let's just do it simply for the laughs of it. All right, so let's see here. What's he talking about here? Let's see here. Soon it will be possible. See, no match. So yeah, possible to assert. I should have done this a long time now. I would have like completely destroyed this credibility. Almost continuous. Here we go. It's not even in the right place even. Well, it's continuous. Maybe that will actually give me what I need. So, okay. Almost continuous. Surveillance. Probably the word surveillance is what I'm looking for. You see, if I type up the exact quote of what he's looking for, these exact words, barely comes up. Let's see here. What is it? Is this a page that he was referencing there? Okay, that was page 97. Just go to the page number. Well, I'm sorry, but typing out the right word should give me the exact thing I'm looking for. And since he's like making up a quote, I have to like... Okay, so let's see here. Read the entire quote. Another threat, as less overt but no less basic, confronts liberal democracy more directly linked to... Okay. Such a society would be dominated by an elite whose claims... Okay, okay, so it's in the same exact thing, but he's like... Wow, this...
Personal information about
this is
citizens.
Shockingly bad. So, not only is the same quote, like, not what it should be. Like, that's 97, not 83, you fucking numbnuts. But, like, the other quote isn't even on the same... area. It's like he's mashed two quotes together, changed them up. It's like, what the fuck? Do I need to continue here? Am I taking crazy pills? Let's continue.
This admitted New World Order agenda to create a one-world government that rules over humanity is not only political, it is also spiritual and based on what is known as the New Age. This can be verified with irrefutable documentation.
Oh, like the documentation you gave me, which turned out to be utterly bullshit? That doesn't say what it says and is a mangled quote of your interpretation of what you think it means when it actually doesn't mean? Like...
Most of the Christians doing this kind of work have been silenced. So I set up...
All of these are conspiracy theorists, by the way, who, for the record... died of deaths that, for the most part, might look suspicious to a conspiracy theorist, but when you actually look at what was going on there, like this guy, William Cooper, for example, Bill Cooper, he goes by Bill or Will, whichever one, he was getting belligerent with his neighbor, and his neighbor reported it several times, and in fact, when he came out there, the cops came up to him, he ran back in and came out with a fucking gun, and he was going to get shot, and they believe that that was the New World Order silencing him. Conspiracy theorists, man, never once. I don't know who these two are. I might have known at the time when this came out because I did watch this.
Out across the border
no,
to speak
just
to
pure
the few
bullshit.
researchers that are still left. There are not many researchers left who have...
Oh yeah, Chris White. Okay, so this guy ended up going on an entire harassment campaign, working with an individual called J.P. Holding to harass a woman named Acharya S. or Dia Murdoch, as she's known. Now, she herself has some like very strange like interpretations of stuff, and she is kind of new agey in a sense. I say kind of, but like she seems to produce some pretty good work, at least in Christ in Egypt. Like, I haven't read her other works, like Did Moses Exist? But I read like Who Was Jesus? And I have to get like the updated version of this at some point. But she's dead. She's been dead for a while, And he, along with J.P. Holding, helped lead a harassment campaign which involved her ex-husband who tried to kidnap her daughter. Yeah, these are deranged psychopaths. This is not a researcher. The guy is a deranged psychopath. He went on a multi-year-long spree harassing her and organizing an harassment campaign against her. Seems pretty relevant nowadays, huh?
Not been deceived by the New Age. Speaking with these people helped confirm my position.
Constance Cumby. Let's look up her up real quick because she's a particular laugh riot. Christian activist and writer. So let's go ahead and go over bullshit here. Alright, so let's hear. Views. Alright. Cumby offered the first major criticism of the New Age movement from a Christian perspective in The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow, the New Age movement and our coming age of barbarism. But quickly lost academic credibility due to her promotion of conspiracy theories linking the New Age movement to Benjamin Creme. Now, who is Benjamin Creme, you might ask? It's this guy. Creme asserted that the second coming, prophesied by many religions, would come in the form of Maitreya and the World Teacher. Maitreya is the name of Buddhists used for the future of Buddha, but Creme believed that Maitreya is the teacher that all religions points towards and hope for. So, gee, wow, I wonder, like a guy promoting unity in terms of religion. Wow, that must have ruffled a conspiracy theorist a long way. Now, as far as this guy goes, he's a bit of a kook bag. I mean, he's like a big promoter of crop circles and UFOs. So we all know how crop circles are made. There's no reason going over it. So, but yeah, Constance Cumby decided to link it to this guy, Theosophy and Nazism. Now, if you know anything about Nazism, you would realize that while they're into that sort of pseudo-spiritualistic stuff that the New Age might be into, they were conspiracy theorists of the highest order, driven by anti-Semitism, whose views, for the most part, were not only not mainstream, but also, for the most part, just based in group, in-group, out-group persecution complexes. So, I mean, a lot of them are built around sexual insecurity and whatnot. Theosophy, by the way, is not about sexual insecurity at all whatsoever. In fact, many theosophists have gone over to help to make the sexual revolution. Now, you could say that theosophy was involved in that, sure, but that's just a part of historical dynamics. That's just it. And it's part of the reason why it failed, but that's a subject for another time. Anyways, it says, scholar of New Age religion, James R. Lewis, someone who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about, says that it contains few insightful criticisms with many accusations of the least responsible sort, and she's simply lumping together anything that departs from a rather strict interpretation of Christianity. Include her accusation says that the New Age movement has infiltrated all of Christianity as well as Judaism, and that it is the motivating force behind ecumenism, holistic health centers, New Thought, humanistic psychology, Montessori schools, modernism, and secular humanism, and zero population growth. Now, zero population growth, I have no idea. There does seem to be some kind of New Age involvement in that. But saying like modernism, and secular humanism, no, secular humanism isn't just based upon modernism anymore. In fact, it's actually gone postmodern, at least the modern references here. Humanistic psychology, it's a pretty obvious one. Why she doesn't want that? It's because it disallows her from her ability to be able to put forth that all human problems everywhere, stealing, theft, all of that stuff, is not based on sin, but actually like a complex interweaving structures of an understanding of the human condition, both in terms of our influences in society and how it all sort of coalesces into issues of addiction. There are biological constraints that sort of push us to certain behaviors, but those biological constraints are also informed by environmental circumstances, more or less, that influence our genetics and thus influence our behavior. So, and this very complex understanding of human behavior is a no-no according to her, like, you know, ecumenical sort of dominionist idea of Christianity. So yeah, so let's look at the Montessori education, I guess. I have no idea what this is, so let's see here. Is a type of educational method that involves children natural interest in activities rather than formal teaching methods. Okay, a Montessori classroom places an emphasis on hands-on learning and developing real-world skills. It emphasizes independence and views its children as naturally eager for knowledge and capable of initiating learning on sufficiently supportive and well-prepared learning environments. It also discourages some conventional measures of achievement, such as grades and tests. The method was started in the early 20th century by Italian physician Maria Montessori, who develops her theories through scientific experimentation with her students. The method has since been used in many parts of the world, public and private schools alike. Okay. So I know exactly what this is. This is an issue of the fact that, like, a lot of Christian fundamentalist worldviews about children are the worldview that, of course, like, children are not only not just your property, but they're also like little versions of you, and they should be adopting little versions of you, and should be exactly like you as they're growing up, because that's what a parent is to a kid. The kid is their property, and the kid is supposed to be like their parents. And in a lot of ways, it's like an insecurity about kids being their own people and developing their own likes and dislikes and disgust and sort of ideas and notions about the world. Like, and Montessori method of education seems to be about teaching kids applicable knowledge that might lead to that kind of stuff. So yeah, sorry, Constance. I wonder why you're exactly against secular humanism and Montessori schools and humanistic psychology. Seems very sus. Anyways, it says, she states that Unitarian school churches and health food stores become New Age recruiting centers. Oh, it is perfect. It is like the best of the best stereotypes when it comes to like Christian fundamentalism. Let's say our contention is that the New Age movement is not simply expressing a naive and unscriptural interest in metaphysics, but that it is organized conspiracy to overthrow the United States and replace it with a Nazi-like regime. She's just telling on herself, isn't she? She's just giving the game away. She's just giving him the game away by going, no, you're the one doing this, not me. What swastika? What swastika? No, your movement is producing. No, don't look at the swastika. Your movement is producing. That's all this is. It's just no you stuff. Like, what the fuck? I never would have thought that I would have actually gone through that and seen that. I didn't know kind of who she was. I knew that she was a Christian fundamentalist, but I didn't know she was on the fucking mark to such a degree. Yeah, this guy is Scott Johnson, Dr. Scott Johnson. Let's look at him real quick. So we'll look at, Dr. Scott Johnson. Okay. Okay, does he have like a wiki page? Nope. Contending for truth. Discovering, researching, and qualifying podcasts is frustrating. Okay. There's very much like, this is on podcast bit here. Let's see here. Oh, fundamentalism at its worst. Okay, we'll just base all of our views off of this one here, shall we? The podcast is the logical outcome of a worldview that revolves around superstition, ancient nonsense, and poorly developed critical thinking, mixed with the frequent conspiracy theories or evidence of how the world is not only after the church herself, but also the church is giving into the world and being deceived, while the remnant, convenient limited to those who maintain a worldview similar to Johnson's, contend for the faith by adopting anti-scientific trash and hatred of all things based on Enlightenment values. Certainly worth a good laugh, though. Okay, yeah. So we're just going to go ahead and take that as. And this guy is Keith. That's Keith Thompson, so yeah.
There are not many researchers left who have not been deceived by the New Age. Speaking with these people helped confirm my position even more. The New World Order exists. The elite are occultists who adhere to New Age doctrines, and they are responsible for this new trend of discrediting Christianity.
Oh, the Bohemian Grove. Okay, yeah. Oh, wait. Listen to this bullshit.
The New World Order exists. The elite are occultists who adhere to New Age doctrines, and they are responsible for this new trend of discrediting Christianity, Jesus Christ, and the Christian New World Order researchers. There is a voluminous amount of data that I have obtained in my research on this subject, but after watching this production, do not believe me. Don't believe a word of what I'm saying. Do your own independent research and verify this for yourself.
Well, we already tried to verify one of his quotes, and we found out that he was making it up. The very first quote. So.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently...
Okay. So, this speech, by the way, is always bandied around by a lot of people. And a lot of people don't ever bother actually looking at the full context of the speech. The speech that is being played right now is a speech in which John F. Kennedy is talking about a Soviet conspiracy, a conspiracy by the Soviets, and he wants to make a response to that conspiracy. Okay? Now, there was really no conspiracy going on. He was just trying to ramp up anti-Soviet sentiment at the time. He was looking to go to war with the Soviets. That was the thing that he wanted to do. Even as he was pulling out of Vietnam, he was also going to fight the Soviets in another front. Most people don't even bother talking about that. So it's not something you will really know unless you actually watch the full speech and look at the context under which it happened. And that's the thing with conspiracy theorists. And I think I'll leave it at that real quick. In fact, I'll stop right now so I can go ahead and continue on my little fan fiction here. But that's the thing with conspiracy theorists, is they will play speeches and quotes and make shit up to make context that doesn't exist, to create a viewpoint that doesn't exist, in order to say that's the truth, and that's what they're doing. Now with Keith, I think he was doing it for money, although he may not necessarily have been, because even after he stopped getting money from it, he was also going into these Bible study groups, meeting up with a bunch of friends and whatnot. It wasn't until, but the reason why it is I say it is that, say that he was a grifter, and the reason why he did this for money was because the moment it was found out that he was actually taking his theology from a Koch brother-funded theologian, someone who works directly with the Koch brothers, like under them as a theologian. The moment that was found out, he disappeared. He deleted his channel. His content's not there. The only thing you will be able to find about him is if you type up Keith Thompson and historical Jesus and documentaries like this. So he's nowhere to be seen. He was a guy over in Canada, for the record. So yeah, I just wanted to make this as sort of a bit of a review of his documentary, but I figured we'd just go ahead and simply end it instead as a review of him. So as an idea on how conspiracy theorists work. So I may continue this. I don't know. I may not. But yeah, just want to let you guys know what the deal was with that. See you all later.